Live from New York, this is the Harvey Hour. My name is Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. How you doing today on this Tuesday?
Doing great. Beautiful day today. Worked hard to get ready for the show.
Don't get here. You got to move closer to the mic.
A lot of detail tonight. I'm looking forward to going through the draft picks and analyzing the Knicks Pistons game and the Clippers Nuggets game.
Oh, let's begin with that because we have a lot to get into. The final 11 picks of our mock drafts we will reveal at the end of the show. But let's begin with our first topic of tonight's show.
Yeah, the Knicks fell to the Detroit Pistons 100-94 in Game 2 of the first round. The NBA playoffs, Cade Cunningham delivered a double-double while Jalen Brunson put up 37 of his own with 7 assists. What's your reaction to last night's game, Nate? We were both a little surprised, I think.
No, I'm not. I'm not at all. I said it from the very get-go. The Knicks should be a little bit worried. They should be very nervous because this is an extremely young team because we have to remember they were the worst team in the NBA and now all of a sudden they're the 6th seed in the playoffs. JB Bickerstaff, I think, should at least be in some serious contention. He's a finalist for Coach of the Year, but serious contention for Coach of the Year. And I'll probably will be seeing the Cavs coach get it potentially or the Thunder coach get it, my guess would be. But JB Bickerstaff deserves, in my opinion, probably deserves it, just taking what the Pistons were to what they are now. And I know it doesn't technically count, but if they somehow go out and beat the Knicks, I feel like that should matter, at least in some case, but it doesn't because it's only the regular season. I find it embarrassing how Tom Thibodeau, instead of saying how lackluster the team's performance was, he decided to blame the refs about the amount of foul calls and the amount of free throws. I don't know if anyone checked the stat line. The Pistons fouled the Knicks actually more by 2, 24-22. My concern comes from the amount of effort that the Knicks put on. You got out-rebounded by a team without its second-best player. You have Karl Anthony Towns, who is a premier rebounder in the NBA. By the way, speaking of Cat, I looked at the newspaper today, and there was a missing persons report. Has anyone seen Cat? I haven't seen him. Last time I saw him was 6:37 left in the second quarter, which is the last time he made a shot. If you're telling me the second-best player on my team goes 2.5 quarters without making another shot, I'm shocked the Knicks didn't get blown out. And going after Game 1, I didn't feel any more confident about the New York Knicks. In fact, I was actually less confident because it took a 21-0 run in order for them to beat the Detroit Pistons. And it took Cam Payne scoring 11 of 14 points in that 21-0 run to beat the Detroit Pistons. So, yeah, my reaction is, to me, I'm not surprised. This is a Detroit Pistons team that's hungry. They haven't won a playoff game in 15 years. Well, they stopped that last night. So, Cade Cunningham did what he always does against the Knicks, averaged over 30. He had a double-double in this game, along with 2 steals, which is big. Jalen Brunson did what he normally does in the playoffs, especially early on, put up 37 points. He had 7 assists in this game. But no, my reaction is simply the Knicks deserve to lose that game. Lack of effort. You got out-rebounded 48-34. They wanted it more than you. And Tom Thibodeau talking about, the free throws. That's the. How about the fact that your team didn't put in any real effort? Karl Anthony Towns, where is he? I didn't see him. I wish I could talk about his second-half performance, but he didn't do anything. So I guess that's the only criticism I had. He didn't do anything. I can't say he completely failed. Other than that, the expectation is you're the second-best player on your team. I expect more. But I can't judge your performance because it's like you didn't even play. In fact, we had the same amount of points as Karl Anthony Towns did in 2.5 quarters. And we don't play in the NBA. This is an all-around bad performance of the New York Knicks. I don't think that there's anything you could say about it. An all-around poor performance from a team. And I said this, and you were a little bit shocked when I said that if the Knicks somehow lose this, or at least don't do a very good job, Tom Thibodeau could be fired. Well, after this game, check social media. Everybody's on the fire Tom Thibodeau train.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I started it, but it seems like I'm not in exactly hot water with that take.
Okay, well, those are good observations, Nate. I think that the Knicks didn't show up. They really didn't show up for the game. I think they were overconfident after they won the first game. I blew them out in the fourth quarter with 40 points, and the Pistons only scored 27. So they thought, this is going to be close part of the way through, and then we'll just blow them out like we did the other night. And it didn't happen. Knicks falling to the Pistons by 6 points. You mentioned Cunningham 33 points in this game, 12 rebounds, really played very well. And Schroder off the bench made the tie-breaking three-pointer with 55 seconds left, finishing with 20 points off the bench. Pistons won, as you mentioned, won the playoff game for the first time since 2008 and broke a 15-game losing streak. That's pretty amazing, to lose 15 straight playoff games, but beating the Knicks here 100-94. The Pistons' first postseason appearance since 2019. They recovered after the Knicks erased a 15-point deficit late in the fourth quarter. It looked like the Knicks were going to take the lead, but they didn't. Schroder hitting that key three-pointer. They led in game one by 8 points after three quarters as well. The Knicks went on that 21-0 run to win 123-112. The Pistons led by 8 after three last night, but this time they made the big plays after the Knicks rallied. Bickerstaff, he said, our guys only think about the now, and they did a great job tonight of staying in the moment and doing what we needed them to do. For the Knicks, you mentioned Brunson, 37 points, but Towns and Anunoby, too. He had a pretty poor game, too. Each only had 10 points after each scored 23 in game one. Cunningham was only 8 of 21 in game one, but the Knicks struggled to keep him out of the paint and defend without fouling him as the Pistons shot 14 free-throws to the Knicks 2 in the first half, which ended with the Pistons leading 55-49. I looked at game one, where the Knicks, one kind of going away compared to game two, and some of the stats here. It was key the fourth quarter. The first game, the Knicks scored 40 points in the fourth quarter. I correct myself here. The Pistons only scored 21. Last night, the Knicks had 27, then Detroit 25. And Detroit was ahead by 8 going into the fourth quarter, so they cured that problem in a hurry. You look at some of the individual stats. Tobias Harris had 25 in the first game, 15 last night. The scoring was turned upside down for the Pistons compared to game one. You look at Cunningham. He had 21 in game one, 33 last night. Tim Hardaway had 19 in game one. He had nothing last night, which was interesting.
Shot 0 for 8, 0 for 6 from 3.
Schroder had 20. He had only had 8 in the first game, so he and Cunningham were really the leaders. Beasley had 20 in the first game. He only had 9, so it was Schroder and Cunningham who led the way. You look on the Knicks side, we mentioned, Anunoby and Towns not showing up, really. They each had 10 points. They had 23 in the first game. Brunson, consistent. He had 37 last night, 34 in the first game. Bridges, he did much better. He had 19 last night and only 8 in the first game, but he missed 3 3-pointers right near the end there that would have made the difference, I think, and he just could not hit them. I don't know why he was taking them there. After he shot 2 and bricked them, I thought he would have not gone for the third one, but he did, and he missed that. And why Payne was not in there? He had no points last night. He had 14 in the first game and 11 in the fourth quarter. He was the catalyst in the first game. Why Thibodeau didn't have him in there, I don't understand.
But he got into foul trouble. 4 minutes, 3 fouls. That's why.
Well, he's still at the end of the game. He could have been in there.
No, and that's the thing. That's the big thing with the Knicks. I said this last year. If Miles Bridges is going to, Miles McBride is going to be your number one scorer off the bench, and now you're saying Campaign should be their X factor in the fourth quarter, that's a massive issue.
They might have given him a try.
I would trust, your 5 starters who you're playing 40 minutes a game.
His line was 0 all the way
he didn't do
across.
anything. Yeah, because he got into foul trouble. I also would say, where's the Knicks defense? That's Tom Thibodeau's thing.
Yeah.
3 players had double-doubles for the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
And speaking about defense, round of applause, Tobias Harris gave up 2 of 12. The only 2 points came from Karl Anthony Towns, who, by the way, I texted my friends, Tobias Harris is really locking up Karl Anthony Towns. They were like, what are you talking about? held them to 2 of 6 from the floor. So, yes, Tobias Harris did a phenomenal job. 6'8" Tobias Harris
13 rebounds.
did a great job at locking down Karl Anthony Towns, who's 7 feet tall. Yeah, so I would say Tobias Harris, phenomenal job, holding the New York Knicks to 2 of 12 from the floor.
I mean, the free throws.
15 points, 13 boards. My God.
The free throws, the Pistons, plus 12 in terms of points. They got 28 points from free throws. Knicks only 16. The Pistons shooting 34 free throws last night, only shot 20 in game one. They were 15 for 20 in game one, so they were plus 12 there. That was huge. And the Knicks, 16 for 19 last night, 84%, but they didn't get to the line enough. They didn't get to the line enough. The Detroit, 34 times to the line. And the Knicks only 19. In the first game, they were 17 times to the line. So they aren't getting to the line as much as they should. They're shooting it well when they do get there, but they're not getting there enough. You mentioned the rebounds.
48-34.
Yeah.
That disparity is a lack of effort. You also got dominated points in the paint. Pistons had more. Second chance points. Pistons had more. Fast break points. Pistons had more. Complete lack of effort from the New York Knicks.
The blocks, I mean, that's an indication of effort. The Pistons... the Pistons
half of those from
had
Durham.
9 in the first game, only 4
1.
last night, which was 4 less. But the Knicks had 9 in the first game, only 1 last night. So turnovers, that's a 10-point swing there. Or 10 turnover swing there. The Knicks have 5 more than the first game, and the Pistons had 5 less. Points conceded off turnovers. 6 less for the Pistons, and plus 1 for the Knicks. So that was 7 points right there that they lost. And on the fast break, there wasn't as much fast break in the second game. 7 less points for the Pistons, 5 less for the Knicks.
For fast break, I got 15 for the Pistons, 14 for the Knicks. Pistons
no, but
win
I'm
5
talking about the delta, the difference. They had 22 points off fast breaks in game 1. 15 in game 2, that's 7 less. The Knicks had 19 in game 1, 14 in game 2, that's 5 less. Points in the paint. This is a killer. And this is another where it's Towns, right? The Pistons, 46 in game 1, 46 in game 2. The Knicks had 62 points in the paint in game 1, only 40 last night. 22-point difference.
That's a complete
Where
lack
was
of effort.
Anthony Towns? It was right on the New York Post. He doesn't even show up. Show that again, please.
Well, that's not the New York Post. That's me. I made the graphic.
Oh, you made that?
Yeah, the
Harvey Herald. I thought that was the New York Post.
Hell no.
Missing persons report. Have you seen him? No, we didn't see him. He wasn't in the paint. And he wasn't even in the second half. He never scored a point.
No.
The largest lead was 15 for the Pistons.
That was early, too.
That was pretty early. And the Knicks only had a lead of 3 at some point during the game, but most of the game they were behind. They didn't show up. And I put that on Thibodeau. I put that on and also on the players. Karl Anthony Towns, he's a big acquisition. The other guy from the Nets, Bridges, right? He's another big one. He scored 19 points. I give him that, but he didn't. He came up really small when it counted the most, and he took those threes and bricked them 3 times. 3 times.
Let's get to our next topic here.
Okay, so the most exciting series so far, in my mind, has been the Clippers Nuggets. After a 112-110 overtime loss in Game 1, Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers surged back and captured Game 2, an 105-102 victory over the Nuggets. Really close, only a 3-point game, 2 points in the first game. Nuggets now will travel to Los Angeles for the next 2 games. Should the Nuggets be worried after the Game 2 loss? They lost the home court advantage, Nate.
Horrified. Again, this is what I said. Yeah, Game 1 was a great victory for the Denver Nuggets. And that's because the Clippers kept turning the ball over, and it was the same story in this one. The Denver Nuggets were -9 in the turnover margin. They had 20 turnovers to the Clippers 11. But this really comes down to we're seeing a healthy Kawhi Leonard. That's really all it is. This is the Kawhi Leonard that we always put in the superstar category. The one that we consider maybe top 5, I think definitely top 10 when fully healthy. Kawhi Leonard did everything he possibly could. He had one missed shot in the first half. One missed shot, and it was kind of just like a throwaway 3, if I'm not mistaken. But outside of that, he was extremely dominant. The mid-range. When do we see mid-range jump shots? Well, we saw it with Kawhi Leonard. He has an elite mid-range jump shot. But all around, we talk about lack of effort for the New York Knicks. It was a massive plus factor for the Los Angeles Clippers last night. Ben Simmons had a couple nice passes. He went 1 of 1 from the floor. Nicholas Batum put in some crucial minutes. He had 2 steals off the bench. I mean, right now, the Clippers, when they talk about just steals right now, they had 13 steals last night. 13. Defensively, they were tremendous. Norman Powell had some very crucial minutes. He had 13 points in this game, but it was obviously the Kawhi Leonard story. James Harden actually didn't have that great of a game. He went 4 of 11 from 3. He only had 18 points in this game, but he distributed the basketball at a very high level. He had 7 assists in this one. Meanwhile, Zubac down low, he had a double-double in this game, and really actually disrupted Jokić pretty nicely, so much so, Jokić had to put a arm sleeve on to cushion the amount of contact between him and Zubac in the game. So Jokić is definitely feeling the physicality in this one. And in fact, this is going to be the key matchup right now. How much can Zubac disrupt Jokić down low? Because last night, the Denver Nuggets shot 50% around the rim. Around the rim. They shot 10 of 20. So if they're not getting down low, Jokić getting down low, Aaron Gordon driving, he's one of the best dunkers in NBA history. He missed a wide-open layup, and it was very, very bad. All around, though, Russell Westbrook start off 0 for 2 from 3. I appreciate the amount of effort and the amount of passion he brings to every single possession, but he's a bit careless with the basketball. About 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, he had some sort of stupid turnover. It brought the Clippers up by 3, I believe, or up by 2, because I guess he was trying to draw the foul, but he kind of just gave the ball up, and so the Clippers were able to dunk it right then and there, but all around, though, I think this is a phenomenal performance for the Los Angeles Clippers. Now they go onto their own home turf, which is massive, because if you look at the splits this season, at home, the Clippers are incredible. 30-11 record. They have more points when they're at home, more rebounds, more assists, a higher field goal percentage, and a much higher three-point percentage when at home. So I think all around, tremendous job by Los Angeles Clippers. Now the Nuggets need to go on the road, which, by the way, they do have a winning record, but it's a bigger winning record at home, obviously, as most teams are, except the Boston Celtics. They have a bad home record. Still don't understand that. They're a great team, but they play better on the road. I think this should be very bad, because I think if you lose 2 straight games, and in this one in devastating fashion, when your best player, if you're the Denver Nuggets, and Nikola Jokić gives up the ball 7 times, and one of the last times he gave it up was just some sort of stupid play, and I'll break it down in a few minutes here after you give your take. But all around, no, you can't have your best player. He did average a triple-double, but 7 turnovers, that's Russell Westbrook territory. That's what we criticized Russell Westbrook on when he was getting his triple-doubles, where we said, but he has 6 turnovers, 7 turnovers. Cost his team the game because he gave the ball away late. That's kind of what Nikola Jokić did. On the last possession, you're down by, or it might have been the last possession, the second to last possession, excuse me. He has a bad turnover, couldn't find the open guy, threw it away to, I believe, Kawhi Leonard. All around, I think it was an okay performance, because 7 turnovers for Jokić, that's way too many. Way too many, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, they're lucky Leonard had that game, 15 of 19, 39 points, 80% shooting percentage, because the rest of the team was 26 of 66, 39%. So he carried the team. He appeared in just 2 playoff games the past 2 years and missed 34 games in the regular season this year. The guy's had a lot of injuries. His problems with both his knees. He had surgeries on both his knees. He's just getting back now so he can play again. And what a game he had. 80% from the field. As you said, he only missed 1 shot in the first half. 15 of 19, 39 points. He was the difference for sure. You mentioned the near the end of the game there, Jokić throwing the ball away. Harden took a shot, missed it, and Braun got the rebound. That the turnover happened with 37 seconds left. By the time they got it back, there were only 11 seconds left, and then Braun took a shot with 6 seconds left, a long three-pointer that for the tie that missed, and Jokić got the rebound and went out to the three-point line and took another shot, which he missed with 1 second left. So what a game, really close. The Clippers haven't lost back-to-back games since March 2nd through 4th. a stretch of 23 games. Jokić, 26 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists. Murray had 23 points. Porter came back. He had some life there, 15 points and 15 rebounds, but he hurt his shoulder near the end of the game. Leonard had a key steal of the Jokić pass, as mentioned, with 37 seconds to go, but Harden missed, and Brown had got the rebound with 11 seconds to go. The Nuggets had 20 turnovers, same as the Clippers in Game 1, and missed 8 free throws. Jokić had 7 turnovers, as you mentioned, and missed 4 of 10 free throws. So a lot of things not going the Nuggets' way there, and they still only lost by 3. You look at some of the stats, the Nuggets, they've been dominant on the boards and with the assists. And again, last night, they had 15 offensive rebounds, 35 defensive rebounds, 33 assists.
23 assists.
23?
Yeah.
I thought it was, 23 assists. They had 24 the night before, or the first game. So they've been dominant there. On the other hand, the Clippers, 7 offensive rebounds, 25 defensive rebounds, 24 assists last night. Not as good on the rebounding last night as they were in Game 1. The free throws, was a real problem for the Nuggets. They only shot 64% from the charity stripe, and they only got the line 22 times, 27 in the first game, and they only made 14 of those free throws, was 7 less than the first game. And the Clippers, they only got to the line 12 times last night, 16 in Game 1. They had 2 less points from the free throw line than in the first game. The steals, as you mentioned, the Clippers having 13, the Nuggets only 8. That's a plus 6 for the Clippers. The blocks, the Clippers again had 5. The Nuggets only had 1. Turnovers were a killer for the Nuggets, 20. 11 for the Clippers. The points off of the turnovers, much better for the Clippers last night, and I think this really was a difference maker. They had 29 points off 20 turnovers in the first game. They cut that down to 11 turnovers, only 12 points scored, a difference of 17 points there, whereas the Nuggets went in the opposite direction. They only had 9 turnovers in the first game. 11 turnovers in the first game with 9 points scored against them on those. Last night, 20 turnovers and 21 points scored. That was a 12-point difference. So, and the fouls, 6 fewer fouls in this game for the Clippers and 4 less for the Nuggets. But I think you put it on Jokić, a lot of it, but the rest of the team too. You look at the scoring. Gordon, he had 25 in the first game, only 14 last night. Porter offset that to some extent. He only had 3 in the first game, but 15 last night. Jokić, 29 in the first game, 26 last night. Murray, 21 in the first game, 23 last night. Brown, he had 11 in the first game, only 5 last night. Westbrook, consistent on the scoring. He had 15 in the first game, 14 last night. But as you say, he makes these turnovers, and he makes mistakes and judgment sometimes out there, which is really frustrating if you're a Nuggets fan. So, very close game. I think it's going to be very hard for the Nuggets going into the Clippers arena where they've been playing fantastic. Their fans are going to be over the top here now that the Clippers have taken the home court advantage away from the Nuggets. I worry about the Nuggets now.
I think it'll be I think the big question is how sustainable is Kawhi's performance, because so far his splits are 71, 50, and 100. 71 from the floor, 50 from 3, 100 from the free throw line. He's gone 24 of 34 from the field and 8 of 8 from the line. So he's playing at an extremely high level, and I do think this is a healthy Kawhi Leonard because he missed the first quarter or whatever, nearly the first half of the entire season, and now we're seeing him in the playoffs. He looks fresher, and that's one thing at least a positive about Kawhi Leonard being hurt is that he's now fresh. He's now ready for the playoffs. He's ready to go. He's not playing an 82-game or 72-game season, depending on the injuries, of course. What I also find interesting is that he's also joined a category of playoff games with 30-plus points and 75-plus% from the floor. He's done it 4 times. That joins Shaq and Kareem. That's it. And then if you expand it a little bit, the numbers are here. 39 points on 78.9% field goal percentage. He's the 5th player in NBA playoff history to score 39 on that exact shooting efficiency. Devin Booker in 2023, Dirk Nowitzki in 2011, Elton Brand in 2006, and Terry Porter in 1992. So last night was a historic game for Kawhi Leonard. It's just about keeping up with that consistency because they did dominate in points in the paint as well as second chance points. But the Nuggets actually did, fast-paced points. But the Nuggets have the benefit of having some very good shooters when they get hot. Aaron Gordon can get hot at any time. Jamal Murray, when he activates playoff mode, we had a big question. Is he got hurt? Will he be a little bit rusty entering the playoffs? No, he's come out, shooting lights out from 3. He had some massive threes in this game, shot 50%, 4 of 8 from the from the 3-point line. So the second chance points actually were about 18 to 5 Nuggets over Clippers. So Jokić is an incredible distributor of the basketball. But when it came down to it late in the game, he had that costly turnover only down by 3, which then led to James Harden taking a weird bad floater as the clock went down. The Nuggets actually did something smart and not foul. But then ultimately what it led to was Jokić or Christian Brown hitting trying to take a bad 3-point shot. He was kind of open, but way off. Jokić getting the rebound, then backtracking, and then when Kawhi in his face, he takes the 3-point shot. And instead of Aaron Gordon looking left, I know Aaron Gordon only went 1 of 3 from 3, but he's open in the corner.
Yeah,
I'd give it to a guy without having the claw, Kawhi Leonard, right in my face. I'll give it to a guy who's wide open. I trust that shot a tiny bit more. I know Jokić is phenomenal, and he shot 50% from 3, but I do trust a wide open guy generally more than one of the best defenders in the NBA right in my face.
Yeah,
which ultimately led to a horrible attempt. It was not even close. That was
still wound up a 3-point game, so it was could have gone either way.
Late. It was the adjustments
could
that the
have gone
Clippers
either
made
way.
that was massive.
Could have gone either way. I expect these games in Los Angeles will be close too, but definitely there's a little edge there for the Clippers, particularly how they played recently and going home to their fans. One thing I'd say about Leonard as well, I mean, he's had so many injuries throughout his career. Imagine what his stats would be if he'd been healthy all the way through. And because he's a phenomenal player, and he really stepped up last night. And if he'd been healthy all his career, I mean, his stats would be off the charts.
No, I agree. I would take a quick break, but coming up, it's the end. Sad end. I actually enjoy doing this every single year. The mock draft, our last 11 picks 22 to 32. We'll make that right after the break.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.
Whether you're just discovering your voice or taking your show to the next level, you know what the world needs to hear. All you have to do is say it. With Spotify, set up your podcast. Your food podcast. Your mindfulness podcast. Your never thought you'd get this far podcast. And watch those sparks fly.
I put a picture of the comment.
Drop the episode anywhere people listen. And find out who they're cooking with. Where they're finding inner balance. And why they love your show. You're already a creator. Now you can create, connect, and get paid for your passion with one single free tool. Spotify for podcasters. Talk where the world listens.
Welcome back to the Harvey Hour. My name's Nathan Harvey. It's great to have you in today on a Tuesday. As always, I'm joined alongside my dad, Stephen Harvey. Let's get into our final topic of today's show.
Comes down to the last 11 picks of our 2025 Round 1 mock drafts. Nate, who do you have being drafted in the final 11 picks of the first round?
Well, I absolutely love doing this every single time we do it. We've done it, I think, for 3 years now. I've done it since 2020, back when this channel used to be called Fast Break. I always enjoy doing this. It's fun to make some predictions. Just a little recap. Back in the 2020 draft, I believe I had Justin Jefferson to the Philadelphia Eagles. Wouldn't that be great? So yeah, let's get into it. The Chargers are the first pick. Let's play the music again. 22nd pick in the NFL draft. Los Angeles Chargers take Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. The Chargers last year ranked 9th in wide receiver core. I could also see them taking a running back at this part, whether it's Henderson or Hampton, depending on who's available. But in my mock draft, I do have Hampton and Ashton Genty off the board already, so I do not think the Chargers are going to be taking this route. Instead, I do think they are going to take a wide receiver because they desperately need a wide receiver, and they desperately need to help out Justin Herbert, because all he has is Ladd McConkey. That's it. And we saw what that turned into in the playoff game against the Houston Texans. It was bad. But Egbuka is known for his smooth and intelligent route running. He consistently creates separation both in zone and in man coverage. He's incredibly dependable over the last 2 seasons. Egbuka maintained a catch percentage of above 93%, as well as a 29.8% target share on third down, which is top 30 nationally. So you know he's going to be one of the key guys on third down and in the red zone potentially. And I think right now he has the capability of lining up wherever he wants to, whether that's outside, in the slot. And here's a big thing. For a offense led by Greg Roman, who is heavy on the run, and Jim Harbaugh, who is known for his ground and pound and heavy defense, Egbuka is actually a willing blocker, which is going to be massive during those outside runs. So I got the Chargers drafting Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State at number 22. Let's go number 23. The Green Bay Packers select. I got Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman out of Michigan. The Packers last year ranked they are the 24th graded run defense in the NFL and 17th ranked pass rush defense. Grant has a size of 6'4", 331, which should be great at stopping the run, as well as consistently anchoring the line and effectively handling the double teams and maintaining gap integrity. He has a tremendous IQ and awareness on the field, which gives him the ability to read offensive schemes and adjust in real time. And with veteran Kenny Clark, as well as up-and-coming Devontae Watt, I think Grant could be a serious plus to the Green Bay Packers defense, who, by the way, may need it, actually, because who knows what Jair Alexander, that situation could be. They could potentially pick a quarterback in this one, but I do think having that consistent pass rush is going to be a massive help, and you get a future depth piece as well in Grant. So that's my pick for number 23, Kenneth Grant to the Green Bay Packers. Number 24, the Minnesota Vikings. Who do they select? I got Malachi Stark, safety out of Georgia. With Harrison Smith nearing the end of his career, the Vikings should be looking towards the future and find a good replacement, and that, I believe, at number 24 is Malachi Starks. He has excelled in various roles of Georgia's defense, including single-eye safety, nickel, hybrid, safety linebacker, and he's 6'1" and 197 pounds, which I think could be the ideal fit for a Brian Flores defense that is extremely aggressive, that is extremely versatile, and requires every single player to be at the very tip-top of their performance. Because last year, how do we really get to know this Minnesota Vikings team? Oh, they had one of the highest blitz percentages and highest pressure rates to begin the first 8 weeks of the season, which allowed Sam Darnold to operate at a relatively decent level because their defense would be shutting down the opponent's offense, giving Sam Darnold and that offense more time to work. So, and also, by the way, how about just strictly performance last year? He was top 10 in tackles, missed tackle percentage, and forced incompletions, which, again, I think fits beautifully into the Brian Flores system. So I do think Malachi Starks, pick 24 to the Minnesota Vikings, safety out of Georgia. I think this is a great pick for the Vikings. Number 25, Houston Texans. I think this one should be a little bit obvious, but it's a question of who are they going to choose? And I think the best choice is Gray Zabel, offensive tackle out of NDSU. After trading away Laramie Tunsil, the Texans need an offensive line badly. C.J. Stroud was getting absolutely killed behind that offensive line, which ranked 21st in pass blocking and 25th in run blocking. So it helps out Joe Mixon, helps out C.J. Stroud, helps out the entire offense. The one issue with Zabel is the fact that he doesn't have great length, so the Texans may move him inside, but they could also use help for it because they lost Shaq Mason, and Laken Tomlinson is not a great addition, and also Juice Scruggs being the starting right guard. I don't love that whatsoever. But again, it's the same argument for me about Will Campbell. How do you do actually production on the field? Because that's what I care about. I care about the production. Well, he was the one of the most consistent offensive linemen in 2024, tied for 5th in pass block efficiency in 970 snaps last year. He allowed 1 sack, 2 QB hits, and 4 quarterback hurries. I'd say that's pretty good for a guy who has basically no length to be an offensive tackle. That's where he played the entirety of 2024, and those were his numbers. He's also a 2-time FCS national champion and earned first team FCS last year, All-American honors in 2024. So I care about the production more than about the measurables sometimes. Will Campbell's considered the best offensive lineman in this draft. He's projected to be a top 4 pick, and people care about his arms. If this guy doesn't have great length, I care about the production. He was great. 1 sack and 970 snaps. That'd be pretty good for the Houston Texans, so I have him. Gray Zabel, offensive tackle to the Houston Texans. Number 26, the Los Angeles Rams. Some could argue this might be a reach, but I don't think so. I think they desperately need this position. I do think he's the best one at this position. Given my mock draft previously, I think that's Trey Amos, cornerback out of Ole Miss. The Rams secondary has faced many challenges in recent seasons, particularly with depth and the level of consistency at this particular position. And Amos would provide an immediate reinforcement along with long-term obvious stability because super young guy, rookie, playing on his rookie contract, get him at the cheap. And if he is a premier pick, which he may very well may be, I think you get him. This would be a beautiful pickup at number 26. He has the ability to excel in both press man and zone coverages. He's 6'1", 195. He ran a 4.43 40 at the combine. He has also a 10-foot 6-inch broad jump. Massive guy. Agility is incredible. He has strong route recognition and is great at reading the quarterback, which obviously you read the quarterback's eyes. That generates turnovers. That generates pass breakups. So I think it'll be a massive piece for a Rams cornerback group that has not been great since Jalen Ramsey left. And hell, who knows? Jalen Ramsey may return to the Los Angeles Rams because Miami wants to get off him. But in 2024, Amos allowed a 51.6% completion percentage to only 280 yards. He did allow 2 touchdowns, but 3 interceptions, and he was number 1 in the draft class amongst cornerbacks in forced incompletions. So this guy's a pass breakup machine. Rams desperately need a defensive back. I think Trey Amos at number 26 is a perfectly fine pick. Let's go to the next one. Number 27, the Baltimore Ravens. Who do they have? I got Donovan Ezeraku, edge out of Boston College. The Ravens don't have many holes on their roster. Their defense was ranked very highly. Obviously, the offense with Lamar Jackson and as well as Derrick Henry did a phenomenal job. I know Mark Andrews kind of ended the season on a drop pass, but I do think that Ezeraku could be a perfect pickup for the Ravens' defensive line because he has a proven ability to disrupt the backfield, which makes him a valuable piece within Baltimore's pass rush, which could help raise it to a whole nother level if you have that young talent, because look at what Jalen Carter did to the Eagles' defensive line. It raised it to a whole nother level, and we saw that in the Super Bowl. But yeah, Ezeraku has shown a great ability to be a traditional defensive end as well as a stand-up edge rusher. So he has that versatility. He has that skill set to also play both sides. He is slightly undersized for the position, though. It's 6'2", only 240 pounds. But he makes up for it with just his level, his elite hand usage, flexibility, and motor. So he has the skill set. Again, I care about the production. I don't care exactly about the measurables. Because if your production outweighs your measurables, I'm not going to focus on the measurables as much. But guess what? His production on the field matters way more to me. And I think right now he's best suited for a system like Baltimore's, which let him shoot into the gaps and attack rather than just anchor and read and run plays and dissect. Just have him blitz. That's all you have to do. I mean, Kyle Van Noy, who's a mummy, just put up one of his best seasons statistically on the Baltimore Ravens last year. So I think he'll be a beautiful piece for this Baltimore Ravens defense. And last year, again, I care about the production. He was tied for 3rd in sacks amongst people in his position group. Number 1 in QB hits. Number 2 in run stops. Again, I care about the production. What do you give me? Measurables are one thing, but if your production outweighs them, I care more about that. 2nd in run stops, number 1 in QB hits, tied for 3rd in sacks. That's what I'm focusing on. I got Donovan Ezeraku, 27 to the Baltimore Ravens. The next one, Detroit Lions. Had a difficult time picking this one, but I do think I'm going to go with James Pierce Jr., edge out of Tennessee. The Lions defense has struggled mightily down the stretch. That's just strictly due to injuries. At one point, they had 22 players on IR, and they still won games, were 15-2, but then the injuries finally caught up to them in the playoff game against Washington where they absolutely fell apart. But I think with Aiden Hutchinson coming back, the Lions should look to add another edge rusher so you can't exactly double Hutchinson all the time. You could rush 3 or 4, and if Pierce and Hutchinson are on that defensive line, you could generate a lot of pressures and really put the quarterback backtracking. What am I trying to say? Backtracking, that's what I'm trying to say. Backtracking, keep him off his balance, really pressure him into making those bad throws. So we could see Kirby Joseph come up with a bunch of picks again. Brian Branch capitalize on those plays. Pierce has a very explosive first step and the ability to pressure the quarterback, which makes him a massive piece, like I mentioned, to a culture with Dan Campbell and a defensive team, which, by the way, may look very different because you lost your defensive coordinator, you lost your offensive coordinator, you reposition a bunch of your coaches. So if you could just have consistent play, you don't necessarily need to dial up the most beautiful scheme. Just have your guys blitz. Just have Aiden Hutchinson do his thing. Have James Pierce absolutely torment the opposing offensive line. He had one of the highest pass rush win rates in college football last year. He was top 20 in sacks, hurries, batted passes, and run stops. He's 6'5", 245. So he has the size to be a tremendous disruptor and the speed and athleticism to improve a Detroit Lions defense that was already okay in rushing the quarterback, but now adds a young level, a less injury-prone, hopefully, level to that Detroit defense. So I got James Pierce Jr., number 28, going to the Detroit Lions. Let's go, number 29, Washington Commanders. Who do they take? There's a lot of positions, I think, because, again, this is another team that doesn't have a lot of holes, but I do think there is one that they need more than anything, and I am going to take Nick Emanwari, safety out of South Carolina, to be that guy. I think, honestly, at this pick, I think he's a pretty premier choice for the Commanders. He was 6'3", 220, ran a 4.38, broad jump of 11 feet 6 inches. I mean, the guy's athleticism, the guy's ability to run, to do a broad jump, all of it. It's a great look for the Commanders if they somehow get this, and I do have Emanwari fall into the Commanders here. He had 244 tackles, 6 picks, 11 passes defended, and 2 pick sixes over 3 seasons at South Carolina. He has a phenomenal capacity to operate effectively at both the deep safety position, too high safety, or closer to the line of scrimmage, playing in that nickel spot. So he has the ability to play in a lot of positions, and the Commanders could use that boost on defense because we saw against the Eagles, they couldn't overcome their mistakes on offense. When they kept fumbling the ball and the Eagles were capitalizing on it, the defense couldn't do a single thing to slow them down. The Eagles' defense in Week 1 against the Green Bay Packers, Jalen Hurts couldn't stop throwing interceptions, possession after possession early in the game. But it was the Eagles' defense that turned touchdowns only into field goals. So instead of being down 14-0 early against Green Bay in Week 1, they're only down 6-0. So if the Commanders could capitalize on that in an increasingly difficult division, with the Giants should be getting better, the Cowboys I think are going to be a little bit better because Dak's going to be healthy, and who knows what their draft's going to look like. The Commanders need to, keep going of the course here and maintain the level of consistency. Because last year we were shocked when they went 12-5, NFC Championship game. They need to just maintain that level of just destruction. With Jaden Daniels in his second season, we all know about the sophomore slump. If you have a great defense, let's just say Jaden Daniels doesn't play that well, but yet your defense improves drastically. Well, then you maintain equilibrium there. Because Jaden Daniels playing out of his mind, the defense was good. If Jaden Daniels plays a little bit worse, you need the defense to pick it up, which I do think Emanwari could definitely do for them. In 2024 among safeties, he was number 1 in tackles, 3rd in missed tackle percentage, 9th in run stops. He gave up 0 touchdowns and picked the ball off 4 times. So with a guy of his skill set who can play multiple positions in the defensive back, whether it be deep safety, too high, closer to the line of scrimmage, the comp around there is Jeremy Chin, who they actually lost in free agency recently. So you have that sort of value. Number 29, you get a tremendous safety. I think this is going to be a great pick for the Washington Commanders. I have Nick Emanwari going to number 29 to the Commanders. Number 30, the Buffalo Bills. Who do they got? You have this guy being drafted much, much earlier. So if he falls to them, I do think this might be actually the best value pick in this draft, and that's Luther Burden. Luther Burden III, wide receiver out of Missouri. And this is why I say he'd be the perfect pick for the Bills. The number one thing people know about Burden, it is his exceptional ability to gain yards after the catch. The Bills' number 1 receiver was Khalil Shakir, who was 3rd in YAC last year, which Josh Allen in this system kind of needs to do. Because they did a lot of short passes, gain 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards. Those little chunk plays, sort of the dinks and the dunks with Josh Allen running. His ability is tremendous, as we all know. Amari Cooper didn't have the impact that I'm sure some people thought going over to the Bills. So instead of Deshaun Watson or Joe Flacco or any one of these bad quarterbacks that the Browns had, you put him with a serious quarterback in Josh Allen. He had his worst statistical season of his entire career. So that's not a great look, and I think adding a wide receiver now, like Burden III, to the Buffalo Bills will be massive because he could play from the slot, he could play out wide, he could play multiple positions, he can create separation and make plays after the catch, which gives Josh Allen a very reliable target within this system, within Joe Brady's system, and especially with James Cook right now on a holdout, you're going to need more of a passing game because James Cook was a vital part of this offense, and if you want to expand it, I desperately think you need to be drafting a wide receiver here. But I really think that the Bills, again, don't have a lot of holes. I checked out their defensive depth chart. You don't really need a starter anywhere there. You re-signed Tre'Davious White not too long ago, but I do think that adding Burden would be a massive plus for the Bills. You desperately need that X factor. Keon Coleman you got last year. He didn't really have a massive impact on the game. He was decent, but he's not one of the top-tier premier receivers like Brian Thomas Jr. was, Malik Neighbors was. I think Marvin Harrison Jr. had a bigger impact than Keon Coleman did. So I think adding Burden to Keon Coleman, who's extremely young, to Khalil Shakir, who's a yak monster, James Cook, Josh Allen, that offensive line. I mean, Bills are going to be top of the AFC East again. Can they finally beat the Chiefs in the playoffs? What more do the Bills need? Now, I'm going to say this, and people might not agree with me. It's the head coach. That's my opinion. It's the head coach. So who knows? Maybe drafting Burden will make that not true. Number 31, Kansas City Chiefs. Who do they draft? This was a top 10 pick for you, and I'm falling to 31st, and that's Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Obviously, the Chiefs need better offensive tackles. It's really just that simple. The Super Bowl exposed Juwan Taylor and Joe Thuney's inexperience at the left tackle position, which obviously the Eagles took advantage of. Juwan Taylor, penalty galore, not a great offensive tackle, and Joe Thuney was playing out of position. So the Eagles absolutely tormented them. Now the Chiefs did get Jalen Moore in the offseason, but he, I think, is more of a project and not a proven tackle for the Chiefs. You can get a guy of serious talent. You have him as the number 10 pick going over to the Chicago Bears. So if you get him 21 picks after that, I think that's pretty good for the Kansas City Chiefs, in my opinion. I do think, though, Simmons could provide some stability that Mahomes desperately needs. You need help at the left tackle position, because right now you have a left tackle playing guard. You franchise-tagged Trey Smith, Creed Humphreys there, but you lost Thuney. I would not trust Juwan Taylor anymore. So you desperately need that stability at the tackle position, and Simmons could definitely give you that. But here's the big thing. If you prefer left tackle, well, you have Simmons there. If you want to bench Juwan Taylor, well, guess what? Simmons also has experience at the right tackle position. So he played both over his collegiate career at San Diego State as well as Ohio State. Now, he did suffer a knee injury for the 2024 season, but is expected to be fully healthy and have a full recovery in time for training camp, so that shouldn't be an issue. He has a tremendous combination of athleticism, technique, versatility at multiple positions. He's a very high upside prospect in this draft, and I think with the Chiefs system, with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, I think Simmons could be a vital piece, a crucial piece to put the Chiefs, I know they were just there, but get them over the hump and win yet another Super Bowl. I think Josh Simmons to the Chiefs. If he falls, just look out next season. Just look out next season. All right, number 32, the final one for me, the Philadelphia Eagles. Who do they get? Interesting pick for me. I got Michael Williams, a defensive lineman out of Georgia. The Eagles are known for prioritizing that defensive line. Look at Jalen Carter. Look at some of the picks they made. Milton Williams was a big choice for them last year. He was a massive one. He let him go. So you need to actually replenish his spot on the defensive line, and I do think that Michael Williams will be that guy. He's going to be a long-term answer, and especially with Brandon Graham also retiring, you're going to need somebody at that position to fill in those holes there, and I do think that Williams will be the guy. He's 6'5", 260 pounds, and I think that is actually the perfect size for an edge rusher there. 6'5" is going to be a massive coming off the edge. He has a wingspan of 82 and 5/8 inches. He has very, very strong hands, which will be a huge X factor in the pass and the running game as well. And he has one of the most violent club moves in the combine, and also an arm over / swim or rip move that really nobody could truly handle. And with an explosive first step, this Eagles defense, which was already number 1 in the NFL last year, you did lose some key pieces, but if you could replenish them instantly with some very vital picks, in Michael Williams, defensive line out of Georgia. Those are the final picks I have. I do have him going number 32, Michael Williams. That's my final pick of my mock draft. We'll be recapping on Friday's show the picks we got right, the overall draft, because that's Thursday. That the first round ends. This is what we're doing. So, those are my final 11 picks of the 2025, NFL draft.
Interesting choices there, Nate. I agree with you on a lot of the positions, but we differ on the people picked, and then many of your cases, I had those guys already going. You
right,
mentioned
you had Starks
Josh
going
Simmons,
last time.
You got him at 31. I have him at number 10.
I'm pretty sure if we look at the other ones, Grant's gone, Egbuka's gone.
I'll note these when I'm going through my
Okay.
And you can stay on if you want because I welcome your critique here and
of your picks.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first one.
Okay, so the first one, the Chargers, they need tight end, wide receiver, defensive line, running back, edge. They have a bunch of holes, and you had Egbuka going to the Chargers. I agree with you. They need a wide receiver. I think that's they were held to just 17 points or less 7 times last year, and in the playoffs, they need a jolt of offensive firepower from the draft because I think signing Mike Williams and Najee Harris is really not enough to help Justin Herbert out. They need help on defense as well, and should look to add the competition on the interior and off the edge. But I think the wide receiver is the key here. And the top 4 wide receivers I already have gone, already picked in my draft. So far the Chargers need someone to complement the Lab McConkey, as you mentioned, and Quentin Johnson. I'm sorry. He's inconsistent with too many drops. He's very frustrating to watch him play. So, given that the top 4, I think, were gone, and Egbuka, I already had him going to the Cardinals at 16. I'm going with Jalen Royals. He's a wide receiver, Utah State, 6 feet tall, 205 pounds, 22 years old. He's explosive in every way. He's impressive speed and long passing game. He's lightning quick in the short area burst to get open and to gain yards after the catch. He's got a well-built frame. He's a great feel for finding the soft spot in the zone defense and turning upfield quickly once he gets the ball in space. He can effectively line up anywhere on the field, so he's very versatile, and he can make tough catches over the middle. I guess one of his only weakness I really identified for him is sometimes he's a little late getting off the line of scrimmage and getting into his route. He has all the makings of a big-time play machine. In 32 games, he had 126 receptions, almost 2,000 yards, 15 yards per catch, and 21 touchdowns. So he looks like a key winner to me, even though the number 1 rated receivers, I think top 4, were already gone. I think Royals is still right up there and would be a great addition for the Chargers. Moving on to Green Bay, they need a cornerback, wide receiver, edge, defensive line, offensive line, lineman. I think cornerback really should be their priority. Adding some deep speed at wide receiver could be critical if Christian Watson is slow to recover from his ACL injury. And LaFleur made it clear that the pass rush needs to be better. But I think QB is cornerback is where they need to go here. I'm going with Siobhan Revel, 6'3", 193 pounds, 24 years old from East Carolina. His strength is his size and his length. His frame and wingspan allow him to be very physical, both at the line of scrimmage and at the catch point. He knows how to disrupt releases at the line of scrimmage and redirect routes to his preferred leverage point. He has enough speed to hang with the elite wide receivers on go routes. His aggressive mindset and confidence, his confidence borders on arrogance. His footwork is fluid and concise. His weakness maybe is his aggressiveness. May lead to pass interference penalties. He'll have to be coached on that. And he is recovering from a knee injury, so but he should be fully healthy. In 24 games, he had 70 tackles, 4 tackles for a loss of 21 yards. He had a sack and 3 interceptions. So he looks good to me for Green Bay. They really need a cornerback. Moving on to the Vikings. They're looking for cornerback, offensive line, safety, linebacker, and defensive lineman. They've only got 4 picks in the draft this year. With the offensive set, I think the offense has set a lot of good work done in free agency. They can focus on the defense, and here's where I think they should go with Walter Nolan, 6'3", 305 pounds, out of Ole Miss, defensive lineman. He has got many strengths here. He's strong balance of power and athleticism, impressive movement skills, and explosiveness for a 300-pounder. He shows the ability to use his strength and speed to win the edge reps in both the passing and the run game. His weaknesses, and this is a weakness for many of these defensive players and almost all of the offensive linemen as well. They need to work on their technical skills, particularly his leverage. His pad level blocking is too high at times, and he's too slow to use his hands to engage and control his man. Talent, but his talent is off the charts, giving him, I think, limitless upside at the next level. His physical traits alone are worth a first-round consideration. In 35 games, he had 114 tackles, 25 tackles for losses of 77 yards. He had 11.5 sacks, 56 yards, and 5 quarterback hits. He looks good to me. You had the safety, Maliki Starks, going to the Vikings, but I had him already picked at number 17 by the Vikings. Moving on to the Texans. Their holes are at offensive lineman, wide receiver, defensive line, cornerback, and safety. They traded away Laramie Tunsil to put the O-line front and center, I think, on the needs list heading into this draft. They should be looking at both tackle and interior help to help protect C.J. Stroud, who was running for his life at times last year. Could also use some more dependability opposite Nico Collins at receiver, but I think the offensive line is a priority here. You also had offensive linemen. You had Gray Zabel. I have Tyler Booker from Alabama, 6'5", 325, 21 years old. He may be the best offensive lineman in this draft. His strengths are he sets a physical, punishing tone. His large power-packed frame, which he uses effectively as a run blocker and as a pass protector. On the move, he is able to keep his balance and destroy smaller blockers out on the edges and down the field. And he finishes with maximum effort. His few weaknesses here is more power than finesse. He lacks that elite quickness and footwork. He needs to react quicker and adjust as the play develops. But these are all things that can be coached, and you have great coaches in the NFL. And I think that he's going to be a plug-and-play starter in the NFL. Okay, moving on to the Rams. They need a linebacker badly, I think. Offensive line is a need, a cornerback, tight end. You had them pick a cornerback, Trey Amos. I think the off-the-ball linebacker is the Rams' most glaring need, a spot they have traditionally not made investments in. 3 of their top defensive backs and starting right tackle are a year away from free agency. And same with their tight end. So those are considerations as well. But I think that's for later in the draft. I think they should go for Jihad Campbell, a linebacker out of Alabama. He's 6'3", 244, 21 years old. His strengths, impressive movement skills for an off-the-ball linebacker, given his huge frame. He moves well in all directions, can close down running plays downhill or from sideline to sideline. Also effective in pass coverage, quick to sink into his zone, and can mirror potential pass catchers in man coverage. He hits hard with consistent technique, making him a sure tackler. He can get to the quarterback in the blitz packages as well. His weakness is he doesn't use his length to full advantage to keep blockers away from his body, and sometimes he's too aggressive and is not effective on misdirection runs and play-action passes. But he has all the physical tools to be a 3-down playmaker in the NFL. In 35 games, 184 tackles, 15.5 tackles for losses of 64 yards, 5.5 sacks for 41 yards, 5 quarterback hits, and 2 interceptions. He looks good to me for the Rams. They need that off-the-ball linebacker. Moving on to the Ravens. And I just say this about the whole draft. There are a lot of really good edge rushers in this draft.
Yes.
A lot of first-rounders. And you're going to see here, closing out my draft, I got a lot of edge rushers because I just think some of these teams are picking best player available. And in some cases here, I think it's the edge rushers. So you had an edge rusher here, Donovan Izaraku. I have an edge rusher as well, Michael Williams. He's edge from Georgia, 6'5", 265, 20 years old. There's a case to be made for each of the Ravens' 5 biggest needs to be number one, and I mentioned those 5. They did re-sign Ronnie Stanley to play left tackle, but shoring up the guard position is a priority. Free agency took away a lot of talent at cornerback and interior defensive line, and the team is a year away from potentially losing some very valuable players in free agency. So I think this year coming up, man, this is the one they really got to see if they can at least get to the AFC championship game. And I think the edge position is the one they really need the most. I mentioned here Michael Williams. He's ideal physical traits. He's a huge frame, ideal length. Overall athleticism is off the charts. He can set the edge, defending the run, and has the speed and power to be an effective pass rusher. He has very impressive lateral movement for his size. I'd say his weakness is he's still learning how to maximize his physical abilities with consistent technique and awareness. He lacks an elite first step off the ball, all things that can be coached. I think he has limitless upside that can be realized with quality coaching. In 40 games, 67 tackles, 21 tackles for losses of 134 yards, very impressive. 14 sacks for a loss of 119 yards, and he hit the quarterback 8 times. So he looks like a keeper for the Ravens. You had edge going for them as well. Moving on to the Lions. Another edge rusher. For now, the top option opposite Aiden Hutchinson off the edge is Marcus Davenport, who is heading into his 8th year and is yet to really put together a complete season. So they also need a starter at right guard and depth in the secondary, but I think with James Pierce still available on the edge, and you picked him as well at 6'5", 243, 21 years old, I think he's the one that really would complement Aiden Hutchinson very well and would strengthen the Lions' defense, which is already very good, and we'll have a lot of those players that were injured last year coming back. I think that Pierce is almost as explosive as Abdul Carter. His impressive first step and strong burst to beat the offensive tackles off the edge is elite. He can convert his speed into well-timed late power moves, which is impressive. His athleticism makes him a dangerous weapon on stunts and twists. His skills allow him to make big plays when dropping into coverage as well. His weakness needs to work on his technique, as many of these young players do, which causes him problems against refined blockers. He needs to develop a set of counter moves for them. His tall, lean frame works against him as a run defender. You should consider adding some bulk. In 39 games, 71 tackles, 29.5 tackles for losses. Very impressive. 148 yards there. 19.5 sacks as well for 128 yards lost. 27 quarterback hits, and he had an interception too. This guy is a really good player, and he may not be there at 28, but if he is, I hope the Lions take him. Moving on to the Commanders, and here you picked the safety, and that is a need for the Commanders. They also need edge, cornerback, wide receiver, and offensive lineman. Their biggest void is off the edge, as Dante Fowler, with 10.5 sacks last year, left in free agency. Adding competition and security through depth in the secondary would be wise as well. And on offense, 4 of the top wide receivers are playing on expiring deals, including Terry McLaurin, which I'm surprised they let that happen, get that far. He's been such a great player for them. And Deebo Samuels, who they just picked up this year. As I said, all this talent in the draft at edge, I'm taking Nick Scorton, the edge from Texas A&M. He's 6'4", 280 pounds, 20 years old. He's a stout defender, a well-built frame, impressive overall attitude. He's an impressive overall athlete. His refined pass rushing technique. He's quick to recognize and react to plays. He can adjust to the scheme and alignment easily, given his versatility and athleticism. He's not, on the weakness side, he's not the most explosive firing off the ball. He plays upright at times. Not the most bendy in the pass rush or getting around the edge. He needs to improve his consistency as a run defender. 37 games, had 109 tackles, 31 tackles for losses for almost 170 yards, 17 sacks, and 9 quarterback hits. So he's a very good talent as well at edge, as I said, many great edge rushers in this draft. Moving on to the Chiefs, drafting next to last.
Bills the next, by the way.
Oh.
Buffalo Bills. Pick third.
I'm sorry. Got my a little out of order here. Hold on a second. I'm sorry, I don't have my Bills. What happened to it? I'm sorry. How did I have it going for the Bills at 30?
Do not have it here?
Number 30 is Tyleik Williams.
Do you want to move to the Chiefs?
Huh?
You just want to move to the Chiefs?
Yes.
Okay, Chiefs.
Okay, so for the Chiefs, you have Josh Simmons, offensive tackle. I had him going to the Bears at number 10. I agree they need an offensive lineman. You mentioned all the offensive linemen they lost. Kansas City was no match for the Eagles in the trenches with the title on the line, so offensive line and defensive line needs lead the priority list. They need more explosive production off the edge, as well as need to replace DeAndre Hopkins and safety Justin Reed as well. I have them taking offensive tackle Josh Connolly from Oregon. He's 6'4", 315 pounds. He's huge. He has a huge frame, like most of these offensive linemen, over 300 pounds. He moves extremely well for a trench player. His smooth footwork, impressive fluidity when changing directions, explodes off the ball and takes efficient angles to control pass rushers. These same skills serve him well in the run game. So one weakness is the lack of power. Could cause him problems against bigger defensive linemen. He needs and the more polished pass rushers can beat him. He's young, he's only 21 years old, but he has a super high ceiling. And finally, the Eagles, they need safety, defensive lineman, cornerback, edge, offensive lineman. You had them taking Tyleik Williams. I had him going to the Ravens, as I mentioned, at number 27. They need to fill holes from free agency departures. Defensive back, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's gone. Defensive lineman Milton Williams is gone. Edge rusher Josh Sweat is gone. As you might have guessed, I'm picking an edge. Mike Green from Marshall, 6'4", 248, 22 years old. He's a finesse player who is productive and explosive, has a quick first step with balance and athleticism, consistently bend the edge and beat the opposing tackles around the arc. He's highly competitive, playing with a consistent motor and at all times. His weakness is his lean frame, means he can get pushed around a little bit in the run game, and it limits his ability to use power in the pass rushing game. Hard to set the edge against the run when he's with his lean frame, and he's somewhat inconsistent as a tackler. Maybe he's a two-play edge rusher taken out on third down. I don't know. We'll see. 32 games, 131 tackles, 32.5 tackles for losses of 195 yards, 22.5 sacks. Very good, 173 yards lost, and 21 quarterback hits. So very good player, and I think the Eagles should take him. And those are my picks. I'm sorry I lost my number 30 pick, but I think Tyreek Williams will be picked by the Bills.
All right, well, that wraps it up for our mock drafts of the 2025 NFL Draft. We'll be talking about the selections and the comparison. We have a point system going on, which we'll explain on Friday's show. But for this episode of the Harvey Hour, my name is Nathan Harvey. That's my dad, Stephen Harvey. We have been your hosts of the Harvey Hour. Catch us Friday to recap the draft, also some NFL news. We'll be recapping also some NBA games. I'm sure we'll be talking about Nuggets, Clippers again, or whoever plays on Thursday. I'll have to take a look at the schedule. But until then, we will see you Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube.
Night, Grandpa.
Using Wi-Fi without NordVPN could mean sharing your private stuff with more people than you think. Stay safe on public Wi-Fi. Get NordVPN's special offer and encrypt your internet connection. NordVPN. Online security starts with a click.